As you well know. Hi, how's it going? How are you? Some of you can see producer Tom has decided to join me. Zach, I think he just wants my food. That's really all it is. There you go. So, it's been a busy week. Let me see. First, cover the food. I have salmon toast with guacamole and eggs right here. Lexi! Hey, brother. And matcha. Made the old fashioned way. It's pretty good. But yeah, life is good. How is everyone? My zine came out last week. Towards the end of this week, actually. Last week. So we'll say this week. For technical reasons, we'll say this week. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm excited. I got to mail off the first orders today, which will probably be around like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. So that'll be fun. For those who haven't seen it, I do have it here. I can show you. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. It's a very nice book, and it's made me very happy. And it was like a labor of love. So, this is my book. It's like 15 bucks. It's my zine. And it's got nice little cool spots in it, like these. And let me see. I won't show you the whole book. I'll show you some of it. And these guys. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to send these out. I'm making all types of special packaging and stuff to go with them. I'm writing notes. I'm doing all types of cool stuff. So, Max, how is Asheville? How's Asheville treating you? Is it good? Is it fun? Are you having a time? What's going on? Absolutely, still available to order. I have like 8 left. I've sold most of them. But I've got 8 of them left right now. So, if you want one, let me know. So for those who don't know, Max is one of my best friends. He's on the Instagram one. So people on YouTube can't see it. But he moved to Asheville, North Carolina. It's amazing. He's an amazing guy. You'd love Max. Asheville is sick. I love biking. I'm at work and I'm joining you because it's not busy. Hope you have a great breakfast and day. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. It's gonna be a good day. I got a bunch of things I gotta do. So, for those who are familiar with the show, we got a new tablecloth. It's got ghosts and bats and cats and pumpkins, and it says boo, and it says all these things, kind of fun things. I figure, we needed kind of a little more zest to it. And then, of course, giant snake mug full of coffee, or matcha, or tea, or yeah. Typically, it's one of those 3. And yeah, just eating breakfast, having a good time, hanging out with my little cat son. Who would love to eat my breakfast. As he is eyeballing it. He's very friendly this morning. He's been hanging out with me all day. Yesterday was good, but I had a moment yesterday at the same time. I was outside. We have these little lanterns outside. So I'm sitting there, and my balcony is on the 2nd floor. And I was trying to add more fuel to the lanterns. And before I got an opportunity, the wind took off with it. So today, I have to devise a way to get it off of the overhang. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is just get like something long, maybe like an extender pole for paint for like my rollers or something, and then just push it off the side and then go get it. Seems like the best possibility. My biggest problem is going to be one, I don't know where mine is. I may have lost it. I don't want to have to just buy one in this situation. Though to be fair, I know I will need it. So there's that. But it's a pain in the butt. It's not what you want to do. It's definitely not how I want to spend my day. But, you know, when I go and mail stuff off, I'll check like the hardware store to see if they have it. The local hardware store typically has stuff with like Ace Hardware, but I don't know if they're going to have that exactly. And I honestly don't want to spend more than like $20 on it. So we shall see, my fun friends. And I think I can do, because I have one, I do have one pull, but I have to screw on like the roller part, like not so much the actual roller that goes onto it, but the metal wire armature of it. And I think what I can do is I can just kind of hook it down, grab it, and pull it back up. But I'll give it a shot and see what happens. I may make it worse. We'll see. I'll try that before I buy anything. But I thought about like magnet fishing, but then I was like, you don't have any magnets like that. You don't have any massive magnets. It's like it looks like a big metal can. It's just sitting there, mocking me. So I found out recently, while reading about my diabetes, that oatmeal really bad for me. Which makes me sad, because I love oatmeal. But I'm gonna have to cut it out of my diet. I know oat milk isn't particularly good for me, but I need little joy in my life. I don't know what to say. I need joy in some of the food I eat at least. So for those who are anti-oat milk, realize that I am what I am and I need what I need. I did hear recently on a newscast that a bunch of authors are suing a lot of the AI companies because they've been uploading all their work to train the AI. Which is infuriating to hear about as someone who makes things. Because it's just theft. Like there's so many copyright laws and all these things that we traverse as artists. There's nothing wrong with being inspired and then making something out of that inspiration. But even with making things out of inspiration, you still have to be careful of copyrights. Like, you cannot copy things. And that is not how this works. So, in a lot of ways, it just, I don't know. I think the thing that agitates me the most about a lot of this stuff is that they could have just paid people. They could have just given people the opportunity to submit their work so it could be added to it. They could have had a contest. They could have prizes. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to take a very accomplished artist, writers and artists, and then just steal from them. And I know there are lots of people who would say, in a lot of ways, it's just theft anyways. And to those people, I honestly don't feel like you make art. I feel like it's a comment that someone makes when they want to get a line in, you know? And now with Adobe and a couple other places only using their own stock stuff that they've paid for to then have their AI on it so that everything that people use is copywritten. It could have always been done like this. It could have always been, you know, this work was created with work that people had free usage on. I think a lot of artists I know pulled back quite a bit from social media and posting on the regular because they were very uncomfortable about the idea of the work being stolen. I know for a lot of people, like, that's not a big deal. And I get that. I get that, you know, you're not going to care about everything that everybody else cares about. But I can guarantee you, if Disney Paramount sues the shit out of you, you're going to care that. There's no way to get around that. Because, like, people like me, I'm little. I mean, I'm a fairly big artist, but on the scale of wealth, I am a little artist. So, when you steal from me, like, I can trash you. I can even physically come and talk to you, but I'm probably not going to be able to sue you for millions upon millions of dollars. Not unless I call like J.G. Wentworth or some type of stuff like that. But these other companies that are huge companies, like, what are you doing? Like, you're crazy. Like, they're going to absolutely come for your necks. And, you know, people put this stuff out and they just go for it. And they don't think anything about it. And it's like, whatever, it's fine. It's that concept of asking, rather than ask for permission, ask for forgiveness type of thing. And I'm like, you've obviously never, like, invested money in a project, bought copies to sell, and then got a notification from a legal firm with a cease and desist coming for you. I'm gonna pull everything down. You can't sell any of it. You're screwed, essentially. It's such a strange thing that people don't understand. Like, you've created a trap for yourself by accident, possibly. So I think a lot of times people just make fan art and they don't think anything about it. So I feel like with AI, it's not fan art. Like, you're trying to You're trying to make something, you feel that you don't have the capacity to do it yourself, which I understand. I have been a painter for 40 years. I'm about to be 42. I understand that it took a lot of work to get to where I am. To make the connections so that my art can be seen, let alone the skill level in which I bring with my artwork. Cheap pop, bam. But in that, you can't just steal stuff from people. Yeah, that's not the solution. Like, we have such a harsh criminal justice system that is very clear about, like, theft is not okay. Like, there are punishable things that happen with theft. In a lot of ways, like, it feels even kind of racist that we've got these very wealthy people from classist and racist, that we've got these very wealthy people making these programs, stealing from poor, low income artists who can't do anything, essentially, while they continue to make money and essentially bully you while it's going on. And it's just kind of, I don't know, it's crass. Like, I saw a bunch of people who've been doing the way back in the day photos, their high school AI photos or whatever. And, like, I understand it's fun, but there's a possibility that that's just stolen from somebody else who made a filter, and then that filter is based on somebody else's art style. Watching me from Nepal. Oh man, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, hey Ryan, how are you? That's amazing. What's Nepal like this time of year? Is it cold? Is it winter? Is it summer? I'm unfamiliar. I know where it is geographically, but I can't quite put my brain in that space. I don't know. I just think of all these cultures, like the Nepalese, and like a lot of Latin culture and a lot of like African culture and stuff like that, where like they make a lot of decorations and they do all these things, and it's just very important to them. Like, I think the Irish, like the Irish and the Scots, like they make all this Celtic work. Well, not the Scots. They make, they make all this stuff. It's getting colder. There's, festivals. Oh, cool. They just make all this stuff. I'm gonna stop naming groups of people. What's the weather like up there? It is fall. So it's about 50 degrees. So it's like chilly, but not cold. The leaves are starting to turn color. They're falling a little bit. It's still pretty green. And because we're in the East Coast, like the northern East Coast, it's of the U.S., it is like the weather is kind of iffy, back and forth. We get really cold mornings, and then by the middle of the day, it's a little warm, and then by the end of the day, it's cold again. So we're kind of like in that middle part of the year. It's a very good crafting time. It's 10 p.m. here. Wow, all right. Yeah, no, it's not 10 p.m. here. It is like 11:17 in the morning here. So it's not 10 by any means. It'd be nice if it was. I like night better. I find that like a lot of artistic expression happens better when the world is quieter. If that makes any sense. Like, I'm always amazed by like my friends who work in like tattoo shops, and like they work in very like busy industrial type of places where there's a lot of noise going on, and it's less. I mean, they have booths that they can close off, but there's certain aspects of it where it's like, I don't know if I could work with so much. How did I get started in my painting journey? I started when I was like, my mom used to give me these watercolor coloring books. So they would have, so you would print them out. You would get them. They weren't much bigger than this, and they would have like coloring paper inside of them, and then it would have like printed watercolor pencil. And then as a kid, you would take like you take like a glass of water, and then like a little plastic paintbrush, and you would paint like the colors in for all the different types of designs they had. Like the one I remember the most was probably like the Care Bears, I think was like a big one that I was into. And so, but I was super impatient, so there was no like waiting to let something dry to then go on with another layer or another color. So like every page eventually became like brown and very wet. And so I got kind of away from that pretty quickly. And then I would draw my toys. I'd take like these little tiny toys, these little army men, these little surfer guys, these little octopus and dinosaurs, and then I would draw them in like crayon and chalk and like pencil, and I would just draw them on these little giant reamed sheets of paper, little giant, on these giant reamed sheets of paper. So it's like the computer paper from the 80s had like the little pull tab that you had to pull both sides because you feed it into a computer, into a printer, and it had like rollers. And so that's how we'd print and then push it out and feed it. So I would take like a bunch of that paper from my dad's office, and I would just sit there and just draw. I'd sit under a desk, kind of with my feet on one side and my knees kind of pushed up, and then I would just sit there and I would just draw these things and make like a whole world of stuff. We'd play like video games at arcades, and then we'd try and draw the video game when we got home and make like paper toys of all those types of things. So it's always been a really big thing, parting that inspired something in your own imagination. I don't know, I've been so deep in trying to, there we go. Let me see. I gotta read this again. And what about painting are they inspired for some of your? Of course, it disappears after I see it. Your own imagination. I just have these like moments where I'm like reading a book or I'm watching a movie or I'm doing an activity, and this image just kind of pops in my mind. And I have been doing this for so long that I can keep the image in my head long enough to then go to my studio and do like a rough drawing or a rough sketch, or I'll write down the idea, and then I'll get to work on that, and I'll almost work backwards from like the finished piece to like the starter piece. So it's all like layers that come about. So a lot of my work has been inspired via just my surroundings, my culture, my friends, my family, the food, all of it. I mean, my background, for those who don't know, I'm a West Indian Afro-Latino kid in his 40s. So there's always been a large like island culture. I can relate to you. I don't paint. Sorry. This thing always disappears on me. I can relate to you. I don't know how to paint, but I scribble some lines and then I fill in and fill up the charts. I mean, that's beautiful though. I mean, that is art within itself. Like when I am in a weird funk, I do a lot of like abstract paintings. So I'll just take a bunch of colors and then just make motion. And typically I'll let parts dry so it's not just all brown. But sometimes that's what I'm going for. Sometimes I'm just going for brown. And then it dries and I do another layer. And then it dries and then I do another layer. And so on and so forth. And I make stamps and I use those. Or I have stamps that I've bought and I use those. Or I bring out ink and I do all types of stuff. I think it's important to just the act of making sometimes is the brings forth inspiration. I don't think you have to make something every day. I feel like that is a farce that people tell people that it's like, well, if you're not making something every day, you must not really be that passionate about it or you're lazy. But that's not true. I think some people need time to wind down. Like I make these big paintings and then sometimes I'll take like a week or two off from doing any paintings and I'll just draw a bunch of textures or I'll do a few abstract paintings and it makes me feel, I don't know, it gives me control again. Ryan says the creativity in the chaos sometimes. Yes, the creativity in the chaos. Exactly. I just found you recently and saw one of your videos and then started like your content because you relate to me. Thank you. I'm glad. That's what I want. I want to make content that feels, I want to make art content that feels really relatable. Um, just so people understand, like, you're not alone in this. Like, there are moments in my life where I have been very uninspired, or I've been very chaotic, or I've been very sad, or I've been very happy, or I've been very content, or all these things. Like, they're all very human feelings. I feel like we work so hard to like disconnect ourselves from how we emote and then what we do with that emotion once it comes out is a very interesting thing, you know? So that's good. Like I thought one of the coolest things I've ever seen are lots of artworks that people have done that like I would have not have done that, but I think it's very interesting that they chose to go that path with it. Like you said, like you put down all these colors and you do all these things and you make charts and I'm like that's very like my imagination is on fire with that right now. And I love that. I love that. I love that for you. I love that for anyone who gets to see any of these things. I think it's just it's so amazing. I think the word chaos is, like Ryan said, is such an interesting word because it doesn't necessarily mean something negative. You know, I think the unpredictability of things, oftentimes, is so relevant to just how we live our lives on a day to day basis. Like we roll with things. You get home, you want to make a sandwich, you open your fridge, you realize a jar is empty of whatever you needed. And so now you got to rethink it. Or you, like I'm diabetic, so I can't do a lot of sugars and stuff. So when I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the simplest thing in the world, as far as most people from where I'm from feel, um, bread, which is another hard thing to find. Um, very, in my case, I have to use like whole wheat, very thin sliced, seedy bread, peanut butter. I like crunchy peanut butter that still has the nuts in it. Um, and then fruit. I just cut up fruit and stick it in there. It's the same thing as jelly for all intents and purposes. And the sad thing about this is sometimes I'll get, which part of the U.S. do you live in? I live on the East Coast. I live in Maryland. Um, Sometimes the fruit has gone bad. Like I'll go in the fridge, I'll pull it out, and all the bottom of the stuff is all gooey and nasty, and it's got mold and stuff growing out of it. Crunchy for life, Ryan says. Yes, all day, all day. Um, yeah, and sometimes the stuff's bad, you know, and then I got to rethink what I'm gonna do. How am I gonna eat? Do I settle for what I wanted, and go back out and get fruit? Do I? I have a market that's literally 30 feet away. I can just walk in there and go get some. Um, or do I just make something different? Or do I simply just have non-fruit peanut butter sandwich, you know? But these are all these things where like it's all like little levels of chaos. And you make things out of that. Like I think about that and it's like I could do a painting about a sandwich. Is painting your full time, or do you do something else too? Painting. I like to think I have two full time jobs. I'm a full time painter, so I make stuff all the time, and a lot of times I try and sell that work, and sometimes it's very successful. Sometimes, you know. And also I'm a mechanic, so I do that work also at a shop that I help run. So. So I'm good with my hands. I fix things. But because you have to pay bills. You just have to. I mean, if I could, I'd probably just make art. But I think I might go crazy. Just because I feel like being in my head that much, nonstop and constant, might be overwhelming to an extent. I feel like I would take like little breaks. I'd like make a bunch of stuff and then I'd like work on that and then I'd take like a break and pull back just a tiny bit. But eventually, like that's my life. That's my goal to make art and then just kind of coast and live and do, and it'd be cool and chill. I think that would be perfect. I don't know how I would balance it, like I said, but I feel like I could do it. I could definitely do it. I've been doing it for so long. Like, there's so many times in my life where I've just been a painter selling artwork, but it's a difficult time to do sometimes. Like you make work and you sell it and you just kind of it's not a constant thing. The sales are oftentimes not a constant thing unless you want to work for some type of company that basically just tells you what to make or something of that nature, which doesn't quite feel as creative, but we all got to make a living somehow, you know. So like I said, I got my zine. If anybody wants one, message me on whatever you can find me on. I'm shipping them out personally. I'm not going through any companies or anything like that. And yeah, it's like 16 pages. It's called Murdered by the Dozen. It's by me, Jaws Blake, and it's pretty sweet. If you'd like a copy, you can either message me here or here, or you can do painterfilepodcast@gmail.com and reach me that way. So, I am married. I've been married for going on about 11 years now. My wife and I have been together for almost 15. Actually, yeah, past 15 at this point. Yeah, I think it helps. I think it helps when you're like creative to have a supporting cast around you. A partner is really. I think a partner helps. I think it's good to like not not be one of those people who like the art is the only thing that they focus on all the time. Like I think that could be kind of dangerous. I look at like Van Gogh and like Basquiat and just Kahlo and like all these people, and like they were very 100% focused, and it drove them to madness at some point. And some of them kind of rolled out of it, and others did not. So I'm trying to figure out where my happy medium is. Well, I've finished my food, so my show is over. I enjoyed our conversations. Thank you so much for everyone who joined, and I will see you next week. Painter out. Ciao. Bye. Have a good one.